Reading a science book on fossils, and it's called Fossils Tell of Long Ago by Aliki. Fossils Tell of Long Ago. Once upon a time, a huge fish was swimming around when along came a smaller fish. The big fish was so hungry, it swallowed the other fish whole. The big fish died and sank to the bottom of the sea. This happened 90 million years ago. How do we know? We know because the fish turned to stone. The fish became a fossil. A plant or animal that has turned to stone is called a fossil. Very good. Scientists can tell how old stones are. They could tell how old the fish fossil was. Nobody knows why it died. It's called Cephacticus. Cephactinus. Wow, that's some catch. The little fossil is bigger than me. I don't know about little. How did the fish become a fossil? Most animals and plants do not become fossils when they die. Some rot. P-U-E. It's not a good smell, right? Yeah. All right. Others dry up, crumble, and blow away. No trace of them is left. This could have happened to the big fish. We would never know it had lived. Instead, the big fish became a fossil. This is how it happened. When the big fish died, it sank into the mud at the bottom of the sea. Slowly, the soft parts of the fish rotted away. Only its hard bones were left. The bones of the fish it had eaten were left too. The skeleton of the fish lay buried and protected deep in the ground. So here he's going down, and then he got buried underneath some stone. It's dirt at that time, then it becomes stone. Thousands of years went by. More layers of mud covered the fish. Tons and tons of mud piled up. After a long time, the surface of the earth changed. The sea where the fish was buried dried out. The weight of the layers of mud pressed down. Slowly, the mud turned to rock. As that happened, groundwater seeped through the changing layers of mud. Minerals were dissolved in water. The water seeped into all the tiny holes in the fish bones. The minerals in the water were left behind in the fish bones. After a very long time, the bones turned to stone. The fish was a fossil. Very good. Fish was a fossil. When the bones turned to stone. Some fossils, like fish, are actual parts of plants or animals that have turned to stone. Sometimes a fossil is only an imprint of a plant or an animal. Millions of years ago, a leaf fell off a fern-like plant. It dropped onto a swampy forest soil, which is called peat. Then the leaf was buried by more peat and was pushed into the soil. The leaf left the mark of its shape in the peat. The peat, with the imprint of the leaf, hardened. It became a rock called coal. Coal is a fossil, too. Peat is made up of mushy, rotted leaves. We use peat in the garden to make plants grow. Look how perfect the leaf looks. Lots of other things have been found in coal, even dinosaurs. This shell was buried whole, but when scientists split the rock, the shell crumbled away. This is only its imprint. Here's the other half. There are dinosaur tracks. They were made in fresh mud 125 million years ago. Sand filled the dinosaurs' footprints in the mud. It's Iguanodon! The sand hardened into a rock called sandstone. Millions of years later, fossil hunters dug through the rock. They found the fossil tracks, exact imprints of the dinosaur's foot. These footprints can tell us a lot about Iguanodon. Scientists get clues about how big it was, and how fast it moved, and that it ran on 2 legs. Not all fossils are found in stone. Some are found in the frozen ground of the Arctic. This ancient mammoth was a kind of elephant. It froze to death thousands of years ago. The grass it had been eating was still in its mouth. The famous mammoth found accidentally in 1901 in Siberia. Part of it was showing through the melted ice. Scientists found pounds of grass and moss in its stomach. The mammoth was fresh enough for wolves to eat. I wouldn't dare. Ooh. Millions of years ago, a fly was caught in the sticky resin of a tree. The resin hardened and became a fossil called amber. Amber looks like yellow glass. The fly was perfectly preserved in the amber. Other insects have been preserved in amber too. My mother has an amber necklace. Here's a fly and a spider, ants, a cockroach. They all got stuck in the sticky resin. We have learned many things from the fish, the fern, the fly, and the dinosaur tracks. Fossils tell us about the past. Fossils tell us about the past. Fossils tell us there once were forests where now there are deserts. Fossils of these plants and animals were found in that desert. That's the Painted Desert and the Petrified Forest. I've been there. Petrifies means turned to stone. Wow, a fossil forest. Fossils tell us there were once seas where there are now mountains. These fossils of sea creatures were found on mountains. The earth has changed a lot since then. Many lands that are cold today were once warm. We find fossils of tropical plants in very cold places. Dinosaur bones! It's Stegosaurus. That's Pterodon, the flying reptile. Here's Ichthyosaur. It was quite a swimmer. I love museums. Fossils tell us about strange creatures that lived on Earth long ago. No such creatures are alive today. They have all died out, but they have all left behind something surprising, living descendants. They have left behind some surprising living descendants. Birds. Can you believe birds are living descendants of dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Look, there's the fish I ate too, and they say nothing ever happens in Kansas. That's a great find. Some fossils are found by scientists who dig them. Some fossils are found by accident. You too might find a fossil if you look hard. When you see a stone, look at it carefully. It may be a fossil of something that once lived. I found this fossil at the seashore. Lucky! It said you can find fossils in the woods too, or where they just dug a new road, or up in the mountains. We saw fossils in the marble walls of a big building. Marble is polished limestone where many fossils have been found. I want to find a fossil. How many of you want to find a fossil? Hands up. Oh, everybody. Okay. Well, luckily, you'll be able to. How would, or at least pretend, how would you like to make a fossil? Not a 1 million-year-old fossil, a 1-minute-old fossil. Make a clay imprint of your hand. First, you take some clay. Then you flatten it out. Then you press your hand in clay. Then your hand in the clay. Then lift your hand away. The imprint shows what your hand is like, the way a dinosaur's track shows what its foot was like. Suppose when it dried out, you buried your clay handprint. Suppose 1,000,000 years from now someone found it. Your imprint would be as hard as stone. It would be a fossil of your hand. It would tell the finder something about you. It would tell something about your life on Earth 1,000,000 years earlier. I hereby bury you, fossil. Someone would know all about me, how big I am, how many fingers I have, that I go to school and take dance lessons, play the piano, sing and read books, and love avocados. That's not. No. They wouldn't know that by fossil. Here lie 2 fossils. Last page. Every time someone finds a fossil, we learn more about life on Earth long ago. Someday, you may find a fossil, one that is millions and millions of years old. You may discover something no one knows today. Find anything yet? I wonder what people will look like in 1,000,000 years from now. Probably different. So, Aleki has lots of different titles. She has 60 different titles. So, this was quite a good one. All right. Until next time, read every day. And you know what? You know what I want you to do right now? If you're watching this video or if you're here in class, I want you to think about being a paleontologist, someone who studies fossils, and think about finding a fossil. Think about what you would need to do. Okay? Read every single day.